Welcome to the first episode of the Finally One podcast. I'm Kelly.
I'm Natasha.
And listen, this is the first episode. We're going to tell you a little bit about us and about this podcast, what it's going to be about, why you should tune in every Wednesday at noon. Listen, we said noon because you can watch this or listen to this on your lunch break.
Right.
So, you want me to go first or ladies first?
You go first.
Of course, right? So, I am Kelly, originally from Chicago. I was born in the Cabrini Green housing projects, moved to the west side of Chicago, grew up there until my sophomore year of high school, where I moved to Virginia with my dad and my stepmom. So I would spend most of my school year in Virginia, and I would go to Chicago in the summertime to spend time with my mother and my family. So that's kind of like how I grew up. I grew up playing football, loved basketball, and I thought I was going to the NFL, right? That's a little bit about my backstory. Well, I could say currently I am an entrepreneur. I own a book publishing company called Publishing Advantage Group, and I created a new division called Books for Athletes, where I help former professional athletes, college athletes, and sports coaches become best-selling authors, even if they hate writing and don't know where to start. All right, now it's your turn.
Hey guys, I'm Natasha. I am from a single parent home. Well, I can say that I grew up in Chilhowie. My mother was single, but we were in the household with my grandparents. So I had my grandfather and my grandmother we lived with, and probably a couple of her brothers and sisters. But I looked at them as my parents, grandparents. But yeah, I went to Chilhowie High, graduated. I didn't go to college. I got pregnant. Let's see. My first job was Walmart. I don't know if I can say that or not, but yeah, I worked at Wally World. Well, it was my first real job. My first job was at the Bristol Mall, selling plus size clothes. But first job was Walmart, technically. Then that's it. Now I am a loan consultant at a financial company where we do loans and all that good stuff. But my husband's about to retire me.
You funny. After all these years of begging you to retire, now you're finally ready. But a little bit about us, like together as a whole, and kind of like what this podcast, Finally One, is basically our story. So we're finally one. We were teenage parents. So right. You had our son. I got her pregnant at 17. I was 19. Don't tell nobody. When she said she graduated, I was literally holding our son at her graduation. Yep. We got married in our 20s, divorced in our 30s, and remarried in our 40s. So that's what this podcast is going to be about. We're going to take them on our journey. Okay. We're going to tell them, our backstory. And our goal is to help people, to help young people, to help couples, to help marriages, and just do what we feel like God has called us to do. Like, what do you remember most about being young? Like, we don't have to tell the story of how we met or, the pregnancy and all of that. But what do you remember most about being young and being pregnant at such a young age? Teenager, 17 years old.
Scared, terrified.
Yeah.
When I first got the news, I was like, no, this ain't gonna happen. And the most scariest part was me having to tell my mother. Like, it was just like, I don't know, I guess where I was the only child, like, I got what I wanted, I was spoiled, but that was the scariest part, like, actually having a baby, like, growing inside of you, like.
And basically still a baby.
Yeah,
17.
Exactly.
Yep.
But I mean, I was older for my age because I grew up with older people, like I always looked up, but it's still like I was still 16 and pregnant and,
Gave birth at 17.
Right.
Now, I was 18 when I got you pregnant. You had them at 17, and I was 19 by then, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we can't say I was that crazy or that,
I mean, you was crazy.
Meaning, I wasn't, looking for young girls.
Oh.
You were. I was 18. I was 18 and you were 16. But yeah, so y'all gonna need to tune in. We're gonna go deep into our story. Like, we're gonna tell y'all, like, we had our first marriage was hell. Like,
literally.
We were babies. Literally. We didn't know anything. I didn't come to Christ. Like, I didn't get saved until we were a year in, right? Our son was 2 years old. And then I got saved, but I'll say I didn't get healed and I didn't get delivered. I think that's a great way to put it. So we're going to dive deeper into those stories, stories of infidelity, stories of lies, deception, backbite, all of it. Like, we're going to tell our story on this podcast, and we want to hear from y'all too. So questions, concerns, like, send us all of that. Like, I'm gonna make sure the information is below. But our website, there's a form on our website. The email's on our website. Our website is kellyandnatasha.com. So KellyandNatasha.com. So you can check us out there. But yeah, we want to hear from y'all. We want your questions. We want topics that you want us to cover on this podcast. Like, help us out. But most importantly, we're going to share our story. Like you said, we're going to tell the story of how we were teenage parents, how we got married in our 20s. Then we got divorced in our 30s, and that was crazy. Like, going through all of those years together and then getting divorced and then going through this whole wilderness period. Like, we were divorced and separated for 6 years. Most people didn't even know. Like, we were divorced for 6 years. And the crazy thing is, people didn't know. And the only reason some people knew is because they saw little stuff here and there on social media. I didn't start posting on social media to like the last year we were divorced, so stop it. But she just didn't post hers, but she was doing dirt too. But and then most importantly, how we got back remarried, this time happily, one accord, one mind, one soul, one body, one spirit, with each other and the Father. Like, how we got naked. How we got completely naked before the Father. Like, we're going to tell all of that, and how this time, we just told you we had our son out of wedlock, right?
Right.
Had my oldest daughter out of wedlock. Our baby girl was born out of the covenant. And so our first marriage just got off to the wrong start. And then to start this marriage off the right way, like, we didn't sleep together until we got remarried. Like, we went through a whole 7-month period of abstinence. But it took me, rededicating my life, getting rebaptized, and committing to the Father first. And then after rebaptism, you didn't want nothing to do with me. Just be honest. Like, she did not want to remarry me. We're going to get into that story. And I had to trust the Father, but more than anything, I had to get my heart right for me and rebuild my relationship with the Father in order for us to be here at this point. But yeah, we were abstinent until we got remarried. There was a period when, in between those 6 years, where we tried to rekindle, and we were shacking up, fornicating, and somehow in my mind I rationalized committing fornication with you because we used to be married. Like, it's crazy how the enemy or sin can have you so blind and think that you are justified in your mind, but it's still sin.
Yeah, because we were not married, we were not covered, we were not committed to one another, that was sin.
But technically, let's if we want to go deeper, you've always been my wife, right?
I get that, but I hadn't signed on the dotted line. Like, you made me sign to divorce you.
Once I knew you, though, you became my wife. But before God knew you were my wife. So we technically You know what I'm saying? Law, you wasn't, but you were always my wife, if that makes sense. But yo, 2025 is right around the corner. Do you want to make 2025 one of the best years of your life? If so, I recommend you check out the Locked In Conference 2025 virtual experience. Okay, what is the Locked In Conference virtual experience? It is a conference to set off your year, to set you up to have the most amazing and best years of your life. Now, we focus on getting locked in on your faith, your family, your finance, your fitness goals, and your mental health. I have several amazing speakers coming. I even have my guy CJ King, who's going to teach you how to start a 7-figure clothing line online. All right. I also have my therapist coming. She's going to talk about your mental health. I have my guy Andre Coach Gaskins, he is the king of increase. He's going to be showing you how to get increase. And I even got my guy, Minister Terrence Forgiving Carlton, who's going to be praying a blessing over 2025. I got my guy, Lance, coming. He's going to show you how to create your own bank using life insurance. All right. Several more. So listen, go ahead and get registered. Go to www.lockedinconference.com. Get registered for the Locked In Conference virtual experience and set yourself up to make 2025 one of the best years of your life. Don't believe me? Go check out our speakers. Go check out some of their past interviews, some of their past topics, and see how amazing that this can be for you. Go now. So yeah, we're going to get into all of that, our backstory and how, for the most part, I was the knucklehead. It wasn't you. I can't put it on you. I was a knucklehead. I will take responsibility for the failed first marriage and a lot of the things we went through because I was a broken little boy who needed healing and ultimately wanted his mother. You know what I'm saying? Leaving my mom at such a young age and not feeling like having that separation anxiety made me act out in ways that I didn't even know that I was acting out. Like looking back, all of my relationships, most importantly, our relationship in our first marriage, I tried to make every woman be a different part of my mother. And you got the most brunt of it because I tried to get you to feel all of the holes and the brokenness inside of me that was impossible.
Right. I didn't know which way to go, which way to turn. If I did something like this, it would trigger stuff. It was crazy because I was the comparison, and I felt like I couldn't do nothing right.
Yeah, agreed. So we want to hear from y'all. What do y'all want us to talk about other than our story? What questions do you have about, like, we are finally, tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm ever, as the young people would say, if I'm ever capping on here, call me out. If I'm ever saying anything wrong, like,
oh yeah, I will.
But I think that we are in a place of bliss. I feel like we're in a place where we're like really happy and we're like best friends. Like, you're my best friend. Like, I don't want to do anything without you. Does it make sense? Like, I don't want to hang out. Like, just to be honest with you, if I'm going to hang out, I want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
I can't say you capping, but yeah, I agree. Like, when you're not around, it's like, oh gosh, where is he at? Why ain't he here with me? Like, he just went on a trip, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I was at home, like, looking at the walls because...
No, you went on a party. You went to a party. You capping.
Okay, I was capping, but I was invited. So why stay at home and why can't I be with my cousin, which half of them were married and everything. It was just a ladies' night. So, like...
Yeah, that's cool.
You wanted me to sit at home staring at the walls?
No, I'm just saying you was trying to say, like, that's what you were doing. No, you actually
most of the
went
time
out.
I was that one.
But then you were with love. I was only gone for the weekend.
I had to do something like that. Was time for me to spend time with my daughter.
I don't have a problem with that. But you're saying as if you were looking at the walls and you wasn't. You were very active. You even have time to talk to me. You texting me, I texting you. You give me the thumbs up because you and your daughter out shopping. So don't try to play like you were. But yeah. But back to what I was saying. I feel like we're in a place of bliss. We're happy. We don't argue.
No.
We don't argue. And I've saw something somewhere. Maybe that's not even a good thing. But I don't think we don't argue because we're not honest with ourselves, or we're afraid of an argument or anything, or we're not being our full selves. I think we're our full selves, but I think we've grown and we know how to communicate and we know each other.
Right.
Like, what do you think about that? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because I don't like arguing. Like, if we argue and I get fussed at or something, I start crying. So, like, I don't want, like, but I'll come to you, like, I didn't like that. Or, like,
Yeah.
why you do it like that? No, so yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing that we don't argue.
I think that's a great thing because that means we know how to communicate now. Mm-hmm. Versus before, in our first marriage, I had zero patience for anything.
Yeah, we would argue at the drop of
We argue about everything. We would argue about everything, and I had zero patience. I think the difference now is I'm more patient, I know how to communicate, and I have self-control. And I think that's
good.
That's a key, right?
Yeah.
You agree, you're saying that's good, but do you agree, like,
yeah,
it's totally different?
Oh, yeah, because remember I told you punching walls because you thinking it's my head, wanted to be my head, like,
yeah.
The garage door, the bedroom, like, lifting me up by my shoulders, shaking me.
Stop.
Y'all.
You capping.
I am not capping. That's why you looking like that.
No, but I did. I had an anger, like, problem, and I believe it's genetics, like, it's in my blood. But yeah, I've punched holes in the walls. Now this is all BC. This is before my second
we ain't
coming.
had no episodes like that.
Nah, this is years ago. We're talking 15 years ago. This is not nowhere near anything new. But yeah, holes in the wall, holes in the garage door, all of that stuff. Yep, shake you, pick you up and shake you.
Oh, so you agree?
I agree. I did. That was capping. But yeah, this is all before I had to heal and go through some things. But now I have self-control. What I've learned about, anger will harm you or kill you before it hurts the person that you're angry with. So the fight is never the person. The fight is to control you. Like, because I remember one time I got so angry at a family member, not at you, but I felt the blood boiling in my veins, so much so that I thought I was having a heart attack. Come to find out, it was an anxiety attack because I had got so angry and so triggered. I had never been that angry before. And I was literally going to drive myself to the hospital, and I just began to think about something else. Like, I had to take my mind off of it, but I thought my chest was going to explode. Like I said, my arms, everything was hot. My blood was boiling. And after I came out of that episode, I made a vow to myself that I would never allow anybody else to make me that mad again. And thank God they haven't. I've done work on controlling me. Because you can't control people. I realize you got to allow people to go on their own journey and live their life. Right? Mm-hmm. So my job is to control me. And when I lose control, I'm very quick to repent and ask for forgiveness. Like, not just from my father, but from, my Heavenly Father, but from whoever it is naturally. And I think we forget, too, that we're not even wrestling against flesh and blood. we're wrestling against a spirit, things that we don't see. And so we oftentimes we look at a person and we like, okay, why is this person like this, or why are they doing this? But no, it's not even them. It's a spirit that's in them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with
that.
that.
100%. So yeah, so y'all make sure y'all tune in every Wednesday noon. Watch this on your lunch break. Listen to it on your lunch break or on your way home. So if you miss it on your lunch break, watch it on your way home. But this is not going to be no surface level podcast where we're not going to tell the real stories. We might not say names of people that's involved, but we're going to tell the real stories. And like I said, we want to help people. Shoot us your questions, shoot us your concerns, your comments, all of that. Right? What you got, babe?
Yeah, that's just our main goal of this, is to help. Because I wish I would have had somebody to help me in my first marriage, but like we had to go through it. So we are here to help. And y'all know me. I need questions. Like, ask me stuff, because I don't just fly off the top like that. So, yeah.
That's it. That's your thought. You got a thought you want to leave them with?
No, I don't have nothing.
New year. It's the new year. Listen, new goals. You need to be taking new action, right? So here is my thought. Here's my closing thought, right? And babe, this is what I just thought about as I'm doing this. We're gonna take turns giving a final thought at the end of the podcast. What you think about that? So I got it right now. Here is a challenge for the men. Okay, here's a challenge for the men. This is a new year. I challenge you to date your wife at least minimum once a month. Like, take your wife on a date once a month. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good
Dating's
challenge.
Good.
That's a good challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, I challenge you, right, to date your wife, and I'm gonna add an "and" to it. Bonus, if you do something to speak her love language. So whatever her love language is, do that, and I want you to take her out on a date. You got anything you want to
All right, fellas, let's go.
All right. Thank y'all for checking out this episode of the Finally One podcast. Tune in next week. We got more good stuff for you. We're going to start getting into our stories. Next week, we're going to tell, how about we tell the story of how we met and then how you ended up knocked up at 16.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Stay tuned next week.
Hey guys, just wanted to come to you thanking you for checking out the Finally One podcast.
Listen, this is what we need you to do. We need to grow our following. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Make sure you're sharing these episodes. You don't know what couple that they may help. So subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. You don't know who you're going to help. And make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Yes, guys. Share. Help us.
Yep. And you don't know who you're going to help. So it's not about us. It's about helping couples, right?
Share. Yeah.
So share, like, subscribe. Help us get our following up.